Alright, so another appliance I'm going to set up is Pfsense Firewall. Now, I'm not necessarily going to be using it for firewall purposes right now, but it's just got so many useful features, and it's actually a great software firewall as well. So we're just going to create a new virtual machine, Pfsense. It's going to be other, because BSD is not Linux, it's another form of Unix. So stored in our data store. These basic settings should be fine. We're just going to add another network adapter. Hopefully it won't scramble our network adapter settings. We're going to boot it from an image first. And we're going to use this image we downloaded from the Pfsense website. The standard ISO comes from there, and that should be it. Pretty straightforward. So it should have provisioned it. We're gonna fire this thing up. Firefox absolutely sucks with this. It just does. That being said, my Chrome browser is pretty temperamental with this as well, and this has just been a thing that I've been dealing with lately. I don't know why, but oh well. But anywho, we're going to go ahead and set up this Pfsense VM, and we're going to use it actually for DNS, DHCP, and stuff like that for our lab environment, instead of spinning up a Windows server, which would use a heck of a lot more resources. This is a very lightweight appliance for those purposes. And not only that, it is a great firewall as well. Oh wait, I didn't want to do that. I just want to accept these settings. Go quick, easy install. And install the standard kernel. Okay, it's going to reboot. And as you can see, it shows the default username is admin, default password is Pfsense. The first time you log into the web interface, it's going to have you rename it, or change the password, not rename it. I'm messing up all my words. Ooh. And it will boot on its own. I just wanted it to go faster. And sure enough, it did scramble our stuff, because we set the first adapter to VN network earlier, I'm pretty sure. But it flip-flopped them. The glory, the just awesome wonders of working with this web interface. Anyway, so what we're going to do is get these things going. Fortunately, they ended up flipping to the right way, because our LAN interface is our second interface, so we should be good. So what we're going to do is assign the interfaces. No VLANs. WAN interface. Let's do M0. Interface name, or LAN interface name. We're going to do M1. No optional. Yes, proceed. Alright, so now we're going to set the interface IP addresses For our LAN, we're going to do static new IP address 10.99.0.230. These are just ones I've decided ahead of time. We have a 24-bit mask, so that'll be a /24. And we're going to do the default gateway so it knows how to reach other services to 10.99.0.1. No IPv6. We will not be enabling DHCP right now because it's much easier to do this through the web configurator. You can revert to HTTP if you want. I just leave it at HTTPS just cause. And now it tells you go to HTTPS 10.99.0.230. So we'll do that. All right, I will add the exception and admin Pfsense. If I can type correctly, that is. Alrighty, never save. And we're off to see the wizard. So hostname, domain, primary DNS. It remembers these things from the last time I did it. Allow DNS servers to be overwritten by DHCP PPP on WAN. Nah. That's okay for the time server. Our time zone is not UTC. I don't remember what it is. Central Standard Time? They don't make it easy in here to remember which one is mine. Yeah, Chicago. There we go. That works. WAN configuration, DHCP, that's fine if we want to end up doing that stuff labbing wise. Static IP configuration, blah, 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 blah. We're not worried about that because this is all for WAN interface. We're not going to do anything on the WAN side of it right now. If you are configuring this for WAN, you probably know already what you need to have set up there, so I'm not worried about that. 10.99.0.230. Like I said, we're using this for DNS and DHCP right now. If there is a need to set this up as an actual firewall, there's tons of great information on that. Admin password. Reload it. We'll continue to the web configurator. Now, there are tons of modules and stuff you can install, but if we want to do the things that we're here for, like DHCP, we'll go in here, enable DHCP on LAN interface. You can deny unknown clients. You can do a lot of great things in here. Define your range, and define what DNS servers you want to push down to your DHCP clients via DHCP, so they'll be auto-configured with certain DNS servers. Define the gateway you wish to push down to those clients, the domain name, the domain search list, etc., etc. And you can enable dynamic DNS by enabling registration of DHCP client names in DNS, which is something I am going to do on mine. So you will want to enable this and use this. Let's see what else we have. Those are the main things we'll use there. And then under DNS, we'll use the DNS Resolver. The outgoing interface will be the LAN interface because we will be going out of our local network, our management side of our network, to get to the upstream DNS servers. It will listen on all interfaces by default, and if you try to change that, it won't work. We leave this as transparent. We leave DNS sec on. We'll go ahead and register DHCP leases in the DNS Resolver, and we'll also register DHCP static mappings in there too if you are doing DHCP reservation. Host overrides is where you will be able to define your own DNS mappings, potentially for IP addresses that were assigned statically, so the appliance has no way of learning about it. You'll assign that there. You'll notice I'm not actually configuring any of it right now because I already have a configuration file defined. So I will actually just go to diagnostics, backup and restore. And I'm going to restore my configuration. So we have browse, downloads, XML. Okay. Pfsense, open, restore configuration. Firewall will reboot. So that is a great thing about this appliance as well, is that it is so easy to save all of your stuff using Pfsense. So if you ever need to tear down your environment or redeploy your lab environment again, it's as simple as spinning up a new Pfsense VM and then reloading your XML configuration. It even I believe it even backs up the packages you're running. So we'll find that out. This will be a great experiment. So you can see it's rebooting. Hopefully our network adapters are in the same order. Otherwise, I have to adjust those again. No. WAN interface and 0, 1. Yes. So apparently it lets you remap them right here under the console in case something went wrong, which is really smart. All right. And boom, you'll notice that the entire dashboard has been changed, because this was the dashboard I was running under my last setup. And you'll see before it was actually blocking DNS requests from this is actually the machine I'm running on right now, 10.20.1.250. It was actually blocking these DNS requests. Now it should be allowing them. So we do a dig Pfsense. If I can type, oh my gosh. 18. Actually, I'm gonna have to do this. I should just be able to dig Pfsense. Yes, because the search scope has been defined already on my local machine. So boom, we have that. If we do a dig R1, am I reading this right? I think I'm reading it wrong. Screw it. Let's just do DNS lookup R1. Boom, there we go. 10.99.0.101. So if we do ping R1, it'll actually ping router 1. So we have functioning DNS in our lab now, and I'll show you that I configured it basically the way I was showing you. So if we go to my DHCP server configuration, I did enable DHCP on the LAN interface. I defined a range, a pool of addresses to assign from. And that's because I don't want to actually assign a lot of addresses via DHCP. These are just going to be client devices that I spin up and down in the ESX environment. And these have also been cleared to be able to access certain parts of my networking environment that are necessary for the labbing I will be doing. So my firewall has been pre-configured to let certain these addresses go to certain destinations. So the DNS servers, I left these blank because it says leave blank to use the system default DNS servers. So we'll use this interface if DNS forwarder resolver is enabled, which it is. So we don't have to worry about that part. The gateway has been defined. The domain name has been defined. And that's that. If we go to the DNS Resolver, you see I have DNS Resolver enabled. Listening on all interfaces. Outgoing on LAN. Transparent. DNS sec support left on. I'm registering my leases and static mappings. And then I have all my static, and then I have all my host overrides, or basically manually define A records in DNS for all my routers and my switches. So that allows me to manage my environment a lot more easily, so I'm not typing out IP addresses all the time. That gets old. Also, you'll need to configure an access list to allow devices to get to DNS. Otherwise, Pfsense will deny the DNS lookups, which is what was happening right up front. So first, it has to be allowed through the firewall. So if you go to the firewall and go to your rules, you do need to allow it on your LAN interface if it's not a part of the local network. So the subnet that my computer I'm running from right now is on, it's on 10.20.1.0, it's going to deny it automatically because it's not a part of the local subnet. The anti-lockout rule allows everything on the local subnet to talk to the firewall automatically. So being that this firewall is on the 10.99.0.0/24 subnet, anything in the 10.99.0.0/24 space is permitted to communicate on the LAN interface. Before the specific device that I'm on, I needed to add this rule so I wouldn't get shunned on the firewall. But then you also need to configure a separate entry under the DNS Resolver. You will need to go to your access lists and permit the local network 10.99.0.0/24 allow. Pretty straightforward. It's a lot easier than configuring access lists on a Cisco router or a Juniper device or a Linux box. I mean, it's really easy, which is why I first thing I recommend people do if they're trying to set up a general network management appliance or something to help with network manageability in their small lab environment, Pfsense all the way. It's so much easier to do. Especially for DNS. Bind is pretty, for me anyway, bind is pretty painful. And for those of you who don't know, bind is the DNS utility on most Linux servers. And if you don't know why I abhor it so much, just Google search configure DNS with bind and you will see why I dislike using it unless it's absolutely necessary. But anyway, create an ACL for the private network I'm working off of. 10.20.10/24. And man, we're good to go. So you have all sorts of awesome stuff. So that is how you set up a Pfsense appliance for your local lab to handle DNS and DHCP. If you want to use it for firewalling, that's pretty straightforward as well, and I'm pretty sure there are a billion tutorials out there for that. If you really want me to create one, post a comment down below and I'll consider it. Otherwise, that's all. And just so people know, the main reason I'm not using this as a firewall is because it is purely a software firewall. And the firewalls I'm using in my environment actually have hardware acceleration, which gives you a lot more performance for the processor and RAM you chuck at them. So that's the reason I'm not actually using Pfsense as a firewall. Not that it's not a capable firewall, It's just not as resource efficient when compared to dedicated firewalling hardware that allows you to use hardware acceleration. And since I am employing stuff like that in my environment, I just don't have a desire to set up Pfsense as a firewall. But that is all. So as usual, thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.